The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. At that time, Jesus said to his disciples, "Hear then the parable of the sower. When anyone hears the word of the kingdom and does not understand it, the evil one comes and snatches away what is sown in his heart. This is what was sown along the path. As for what was sown on rocky ground, this is he who hears the word and immediately receives it with joy. Yet he has no root in himself, but endures for a while. And when tribulation or persecution arises on account of the word, immediately he falls away. As for what was sown among thorns, this is he who hears the word, but the cares of the world and the delight in riches choke the word, and it proves unfruitful. And for what was sown on good soil, this is he who hears the word and understands it. He indeed bears fruit and yields, in one case 100-fold, in another 60, and in another 30. The Gospel of the Lord. Glory to Jesus. Dear friends, today we celebrate Joachim and Anne. These were the parents of the Blessed Virgin Mary. They had their fair share of unimaginable pain and suffering. Now, this is the circumstance of faithful people, that those God has chosen for his mighty works are usually molested by the forces of darkness. It is important to know that Joachim was one of those who were leading temple priests. And as at that period, it was understood that when someone does not give birth, it means the person has a problem with the divine power. Joachim and Anne were refused opportunity to present an offering when it came to their family period. You'd imagine a family denied a family thanksgiving because they did not give him birth. Because it was seen as a taboo for someone who serves God not to have been able to give birth. That was then. It was accepted that they were both sinners, but pretending to be God's children. It wasn't a small temptation these people went through. But faithfulness to God always pays. How much can we really say? In the lives of these people, we experienced where tears were turned into celebration wine. Same thing holds for every one of us today, who despite the condition of their lives, stay firm. Joachim and Anne were very virtuous people, no doubt about that. You cannot give what you don't have. What Mary became were already nursed in the philosophy and ideology of that family before Mary was born. Mary's eventual holiness was the construction of her parents. Mary was born into a family that practiced piety. Piety was like a normal family tradition. Many children have not departed from the kind of food they came to meet at birth. Many of us still eat and still prefer the kind of food we were bred with when we were small. So if holiness was a kind of food or culture by which a child was bred, that's exactly what the child will exhibit and experience. Children become the culture they came into the world to meet at birth. A childling can hardly depart from parental culture and tradition, especially when they are practical. They say charity begins from home, and this was exactly how it was for Joachim and Anne. Their charity was a kind that deviated from the tight system that was randomly manipulated in selfishness. They did something higher. Let me tell you what this family did. They divided every resource they own into three. One part for the temple, one for the maintenance of the temple and the temple officials, and one part for the general, poor, the needy, and then the last part for themselves. Mary's parents were barren for over 20 years, but didn't see their childlessness as meaning there is no God, like many of us would do. And they didn't stop that their charity because they weren't having children. After 20 years, they were still dividing their resources into three places. One for the maintenance of the temple, and for the priests of the temple and others. One for the assistance of the poor, the needy in the society, and the remaining one for themselves. But however, there was somebody that was dying every day as a result of the barrenness of the wife. That was Mary's father, Joachim. Anne seemed to be strong and stronger than Joachim in that respect. But that embarrassment he received from the high priest was something that almost made him commit suicide when they rejected his offering in public. That God cannot receive an offering from a man that is cursed because he couldn't bear a child. But if you look at the history of God's people, you will discover that majority of the strongest men that God used in changing the fortunes of generations and territories came from barren women. Isn't it? Came from barren women. The birth of Mary did not come as a result of lust. It came as a result of utter faith and love. Joachim himself going to the wilderness not knowing whether to go and kill himself or to destroy himself. When you go to a wilderness, exposing yourself to wild animals to devour, or exposing yourself to hunger to kill. That was what he did. But that was the greatest period of pain and frustration in the life of the poor girl, or the poor woman, Anne, Mary's mother. After that disgrace at the temple, her husband had disappeared. Where would she find her beloved one? She had not been angry with him because he couldn't impregnate her. So why would this happen? Why would he disappear? And then she herself went into the greatest cry to the Lord, until the Lord came to her aid. In the midst of your cries, the Lord hears. But it seems we are too wicked to cry in our generation, or we are too guilty to cry in our generation. Look, or probably we are even the oppressors. Oppressors don't cry. Because if you cry, the devil himself is in trouble. the Lord heard the cry of the slave girl that Abraham impregnated and sent into the wide wilderness. If the Lord can hear the cry of that poor woman that Sarah thought has come to contend with her, how much more will God hear your cry? My dear brothers and sisters, when Anne cried, the Lord revealed to her himself that her cry has come to an end. Joachim himself also received a wonderful revelation in the desert. While Anne was at home crying, waiting for him, Joachim started running back home to go and apologize to his wife that he had not considered when he was thinking about killing himself. You see, that meeting of apology and of love was what brought about the Blessed Virgin Mary. So the next time you are thinking about the properties and the materials by which that flesh was made, you should be thinking of 20 years of serious and strenuous sacrifice. For you who are married today, how many months do you go into fasting in order for your marriage to bring forth stars for God's kingdom? No, these are the things you should be teaching in marriage classes, truly. For all those who want to get into marriage, you should understand that your coming together is going to open the portal of the Spirit. Which door is your coming together with your husband going to open? Many people go into marriage, no spiritual activities. It's not because they are bad, it's because they don't know. So for those of you who know now that are married, is it not necessary for you to go into spiritual activities? A man and a woman who do not know how to pray should not miss programs like this. A man and a woman who do not know how to pray should sometimes take a retreat to a place of prayer, a wilderness of prayer, a praying ministry, a retreat. Take your time out for the sake of your children. You know, you can't fight many battles because there are battles you don't even know are being waged against you. So, I know of a couple whose 6 children died at childbirth. You know, you give birth to one, that one will die. Give birth to one, die. Give birth to one, die. Continuously like that, at childbirth. Until the man now said, no, we have to go for a retreat. Now, so you're talking about people who are telling you their experience like it is ordinary. We have to go for a retreat. They are using the amounts to tell you. It's not as if someone else is telling you this is what happened to that family. And they gave, since they were married, they've given birth to a total of, let me say, 10 or 11 children. 6 dead, and then I think 4 now stayed. The 4 that stayed was the 4 that they had after they went for a retreat. Sometimes the demon that is holding your glory and your destiny may just be as small as a millipede, but because you don't see it, you wouldn't know it is there. You can imagine we don't know how the mosquito parasite is, and we don't know how to destroy it. Imagine that we don't know that it is mosquito that causes it. If you see fly and you see mosquito, in case you don't know, It is fly you will dry first, because the fly is big. And then you leave the mosquito. Say the mosquito is small. There are these very tiny insects. These very tiny insects that I don't see. It's only through their bite that I notice them. The day it will now be discovered that those insects are the reason for cancer, I'm just saying, for instance. The day it is discovered, that day, signboard, newspapers, television, everywhere will be filled with the picture of that insect. Even you, go, we carry a kind of insecticide that will drive that. In fact, people will start fumigating farms and bush in order to kill that insect. But if it is the case that that insect is what is really causing cancer, do you know how many people have gone about cancer? And do you know how much negligence will be regarding that insect? You will not care about scaring the insect away. You just remain. And you'll be looking for something to kill the consequence of that insect instead of killing the insect. And that is how some demonic obstacles in our lives are. They are not that strong, just that you don't know that that's the source. So it's the reason why people need to be involved in programs. If we are on our own, it is usually difficult to be involved in spiritual warfare. But people are inspired when they gather together, because the faith of others will ginger and inspire your own faith. So the first thing the devil does is to ensure you don't go near that area of congregational spiritual warfare. So you can count the number of excuses that will make you not be there. A date for your destiny upheaval, a date for your destiny exaltation will become the day that you'll be most tired or most uninspired to keep that date. But it's important to know that sometimes the wilderness experience is the gateway to opening the doors of destiny realization. And so when Anne went to Christ and Joachim went to the desert, their cries were heard. In our own case, my dear friends, we must understand that there are many obstacles that are blocking ways that we don't know about. Let us just be attending programs. Let us be honoring programs. Let us be conscious of the need to always be in the Word and in the power of the Word. We might not know which door we may be mistakenly open as a result of those activities. But we must understand that the devil is nowhere close to the power of God. For we have not started wielding the authority and the opportunities that God gives us. It is an ongoing struggle, though. We are not going to give up. We are not going to get tired. It is an ongoing struggle, and we will succeed it. We ask Joachim and Anne to become our parent again, as they parented Mary, in order for us to go to our chief destiny's call. We make this prayer through Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.